welcome to our continuing coverage here from Davos 2025. It's bright and early on day 3 of our coverage here. And joining me now is a man who actually started his tenure as CEO of MD and CEO of Tech Mahindra right here with us in Davos with his first interview. Mohit Joshi, it's great to have you back here on CNBC-TV18. Thanks very much for your time. You're fresh off your Q3 numbers and a good quarter coming in there for Tech Mahindra, Mohit. But let me start by asking you, it's been a year exactly now for you in office. A long year, I would imagine, but where do you find yourself on your turnaround plan that you had comprehensively detailed here in our last interview?
Right. Well, thank you, Shereen. I think it's wonderful to be back here. And thankfully, it's not as cold as it usually is in Davos, so a little bit of relief there. Like you said, in December, I completed 1 year as the CEO of Tech Mahindra. And it's been a fabulous journey, right? I think we packed a lot into the first year. Started of the year actually on the 1st of January with a new organization structure. Within a couple of months, we figured out our new strategic narrative, which is scale at speed, the only player that can give you the benefits of scale, but also the benefits of agility. We followed that up in April with a detailed Capital Markets Day presentation about a plan for revenue, a plan for margins, and a plan for the organization. And I think the plan was very well received by, by our employees, by the markets, by our clients. And since then, we've been on this journey of steadily showing improvement from a revenue perspective, from margin perspective, and from a large deals perspective. So again, this is a multi-year journey that we're on to excellence. But I feel quite happy about where we are on the journey. As I had said in my earnings release, sort of paraphrasing the Spotify CEO, that we are where we expected to be on the transformation journey, if not a little bit ahead.
Okay, so that's important that you are a little bit ahead. But reacting to the results, I've been looking at what analysts are saying at this point in time, and everybody acknowledges the fact that it has been a good quarter. But they say that now it's only going to get harder from here on. So, the heavy lifting, so to speak, will have to be done from here. So, Mohit, what will you prioritize? And let's talk about margins, for instance. The estimates are just short of 15% at this point. Do you believe that you could do better? Are you closer to being able to achieve that number?
So look, I think, the second year obviously is, the first year was the year of the turnaround, right? And we're still in the first year till the end of March. And where we said there would be a degree of volatility in our earnings. The second year we said is some of the results of what we have done, right? Look, the new organization structure that we put into place, the new focus that we have on, maintaining our supremacy in telecom and manufacturing, but also growing BFSI and healthcare and retail and energy. And the results that we have from the focus on our top accounts. These will start to bear fruit, hopefully helped by a better macro situation as well in the next year. We're not expecting any overnight miracles. We had not promised any overnight miracles.
No, you promised a 3-year turnaround plan.
We promised a 3-year turnaround, and look, we are well on the journey. The way I think about it, right, is that this is like planting a garden, right? We designed the garden, we shared with the investors, they like the design. We got in a new team of gardeners, we've got all the infrastructure in place in terms of the watering and the feeding of the plant. But equally, if I'm tempted to tear every plant by the root every day to see how they're growing, it's not going to go very far. So I think what is needed over here is what is needed in life, right? Faith and patience.
Well, since you're going with the garden analogy, let me continue. So the green shoot starting to bloom now, is that what you're seeing?
Very much. So I think, I feel that we've had 3 quarters now of consistent improvement in revenues, consistent improvement in margins, and consistent progress in large deals, right? The relevance to our clients is increasing. Our visibility as a brand is increasing. As you mentioned, for the first time, Tech Mahindra has a significant presence on the promenade
here
in Davos. Our sponsorship of the Global Chess League, of Formula E. So we're doing a lot of things to, to get that client relevance and to be able to, apart from obviously showing the growth in margins and revenue.
You didn't answer the margin question.
On the margin question, so look, if you look at it, right, just in the last quarter, our margins went up from 9.6 to 10.2, right? So 60 basis point expansion in margins, despite a 70 basis point headwind from FX, right? So I think this should give the market confidence that we will hit the 15 number in FY27. We're obviously very committed to it. We have a clear plan. I think we have a wonderful team with our Chief Operating Officer Atul Suneja, our CFO Rohit, our CHRO, all of the SBU heads. So I feel that we have a very clear plan of what can be done. And again, everybody else is, running at those margins, so it's not like we're shooting for the moon.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the environment and the external environment in light of the commentary that's coming from President Trump overnight and what is expected. What did you make of what you heard from President Trump, as well as the proposed measures which have not yet been announced?
Yeah. So look, I think that a lot of the moves had already been telegraphed well in advance, right? And I feel a lot of the focus obviously is on the immigration issue, on birthright citizenships, things that maybe do not impact us from a business perspective. I think it's very clear, given the people that President Trump has surrounded himself with, that he's a deep believer in technology, right? And the power
that
of
was
technology.
The front row.
Yes, the power of technology to to transform lives and to transform the American economy. The U.S. is a very large market for us, right? It is our largest market, but we also have a presence across the world. So I think the business sector in the U.S. certainly feels optimistic about the lower regulatory pressure, the greater focus on technology. And I think all of that should be a net positive for our business as confidence comes back. And enterprise tech spending is really a key driver of the U.S. economy. So we feel confident it should remain strong.
So 24 was better than 23, yes. 25 likely to be better than 24 for you?
For sure, for sure. And all culminating in FY27, which is where we've given the, our grand plan for. So no, I do feel that, look, 23 was very difficult, right? If you look at it from a TechM perspective, we shrank by about 5% or so for the financial year ending on the 31st of March 24. For the current year, we've shown growth quarter over quarter in the past couple of quarters, and I feel confident that calendar year 25 should be a strong year. A strong year. Again, not a breakout year, sure. but a strong year.
You're being measured there,
yes,
as far as your outlook is concerned. But Mohit, let's talk about what you're seeing as far as the telecom space is concerned. You did call out the fact that while things haven't gotten worse, they're not getting any better either, and that's 30% of your revenue. So how do you de-risk yourself in that sense?
Sure. So look, I think it's not really a question of de-risking per se. We want to make sure that we remain the most relevant for telecom players across the world, because almost uniquely, right, both on the IT side as well as on the network side, we have a unique set of capabilities. We can help operators sort of simplify, modernize and monetize their estate. If you look at the most recent quarter, for instance, right, a lot of the large deals that we announced, including autonomous network operations for a European telco, a large deal again with a European telco, and then a deal with a North America telco from a customer service perspective. We are seeing a lot of deal momentum from a telco perspective. Obviously, the situation for telcos remains a little bit tight, right, in the sense of reduction in capex and huge pressures. But this is where I think a player like us can make a difference. So we do feel that we will see a lot of consolidation and cost plays. Again, I also feel that the regulators have come to realize now, or have realized, that they have maybe put too many burdens on the industry. As we saw in the UK, for instance, with the acquisition, with the takeover of Hutch and 3 being agreed. We do feel that the regulatory pressures on the telco business will ease.
And some government intervention is likely?
I think it should. Look, I think it won't be intervention as much as easing up from a regulatory perspective. And if you look at it, right, if you look at the US telcos, for instance, the stocks have really done well over the past 1 year, which also reflects, I think, a confidence in the long-term potential of the sector.
Let's talk about deals, because you've, as you pointed out, you've done well both quarter on quarter as well as year on year as far as deals are concerned. What's the pipeline looking like, and what do you intend to focus on when we talk about going after deals in 25?
Sure. So if you look at our large deal sort of wins, right, it's actually been a very steady trajectory from a 300 odd number to a 400 to a 500 to a 600, and the most recent quarter 745 million in large deals. We have always said that we will be very selective in large deals, and we don't want to trade margins for growth. Our focus is very much on meeting the margin.
Is it getting even more competitive in that space?
It is more competitive, but look, I feel that at the end of the day, the solution quality, right? The solution quality, the people that you bring on board is very important. And this is where I feel that we have an edge in Tech Mahindra. If you think about our workforce, for instance, the average sort of experience of our workforce is 9 to 10 years. The average experience of the workforce from our peer group is about 3 to 4 years, right? And I think clients have started to realize that the experienced workforce that we bring to the table really is a game changer for them. We've also gotten certain service lines where we have unique strengths, coming both from the MBT heritage and the Satyam heritage. So engineering, for instance, digital enterprise applications includes SAP, ServiceNow, Oracle, Salesforce, our business in data and AI. And we're really looking to double down on these to generate growth, apart from obviously our historic strengths in BPS.
So let me talk about doubling down on both data and AI, which is the bet that everybody is making at this point in time. So what's the kind of spends on AI and building out those capabilities? And how do you differentiate yourself in a market where everyone wants to be everything for everybody when it comes to AI?
Yes, I think if I had $1 for every AI house I've seen on the promenade.
I have a video of it. I made one.
Yes, everything is AI or AI led. Yeah, you're right. Look, it's a it is a breakthrough trend, right? So no wonder people are trying to stick onto it. The way I think about AI actually is far more basic, right? In the sense that we have to create the vertical and the horizontal use cases for customers. So the horizontal use cases, for instance, are in marketing, in cybersecurity, in HR, in contact center transformation. And the vertical use cases are by industry, right? You know, fraud and anti-money laundering for banking, energy consumption and reducing churn for telecoms, right? So we've got these horizontal and vertical use cases. Then we have the ecosystem partnerships with the hyperscalers, with the AI model builders, and we have our own R&D, right? I think uniquely among the SIs, we have built a large language model for Hindi, from scratch, right? And partnering with NVIDIA, we built a large language model for Bahasa Indonesian.
Okay.
And while these are not models that we have monetized to a great degree, I think it gives a lot of confidence that if a company can build a model from scratch, they probably know a little bit more than just building an AI house.
I hope so. But what does that mean eventually as far as business is concerned, Mohit? I mean, when does it start to make a significant difference, an incremental difference as far as numbers go for you?
I think what we're telling our clients is, look, candidly, a lot of the spending on AI has not gone to the system integrators, right? Has not gone to the service providers. A lot of the spending on AI has gone towards the hardware and towards the software place, right? I feel clients are realizing that they also need to be able to simplify their data estate, to modernize their application infrastructure, to really take advantage of AI. And I do feel that in 2025, some of the momentum will shift from the hardware and the software play towards more of a services play, because at the end of the day, if you don't have a data estate which is clean, if you don't have applications that can consume AI services, you can invest as much as you want in AI models, right? It's not going to help. The analogy I give, right, is like we already had a car that went from 0 to 100 in 10 seconds. Now with AI, you've got a car that can go from 0 to 100 in 2 seconds. But if you don't have the roads infrastructure, if you don't have the lighting, if you don't have the instrumentation, that car is quite useless, right? So I feel that in 2025, a lot of the investment will go towards simplifying and modernizing the estate. I think the thing is, for enterprise clients, a lot of the technology is really ancient, right? A lot of the banks, a lot of the telcos are running on technology that was written in the 70s and the 80s. So there is a huge need to modernize this estate, to simplify this estate, to really get the benefit of AI.
So in an AI era, from an Indian IT services standpoint, I mean, double-digit growth rates, is that something that we should be looking at, optimistic and hopeful of? I
think we should be hopeful about it, but
how realistic? How realistic
I think
is it?
in 2025, double-digit growth is a little bit of a stretch, right? Now again, things could change very quickly. I do feel that for the next year after that, because these things always build up, right? Unless you take a year like COVID, when things went to the moon directly, it always takes a little bit of building on, because at the end of the day, increasing IT spend also requires a huge amount of effort to be able to consume it. So I do feel that 2025 will be the year of consolidation, and then 2026 will hopefully be the year of explosive growth.
2026 will be the year of explosive growth. That's quite a statement.
Of faster growth, for sure, because I do feel that a lot of the investments in simplification, in modernization, a lot of the estates still have to move to the cloud, the data modernization initiatives, these should pick up. And so if not explosive, at least close to double-digit growth.
Close to double-digit growth in 2026. So are you looking at M&A at this point in time at all, or is it largely going to be driven by organic growth?
I think our focus just now is largely organic. We may look at small tuck-in acquisitions, but we're very focused on integrating what we have acquired in the past, but really very focused on organic growth, right, on our largest customers and our largest sectors.
Let me end by asking you, Mohit, since the current debate is on what happens to the workforce, what happens to workflow, how many hours do we need to put in, and how do you look at this, and how are you reorganizing workflow as well as the workforce in an era of automation and AI and generative AI?
So look, I do feel that as far as the workforce is concerned, as far as sheer numbers are concerned, I do feel that the human element will continue to remain predominant, forever, right? And the analogy that I gave is, if you look at contact centers, right, which have been influenced the most by automation, we've had multiple waves of technology interventions as far as contact centers are concerned. So we had first, interactive voice response units.
Yeah.
We had the first generation of chatbots. We had the internet, right? Self-service on the internet was supposed to get rid of the contact center. Then we had the second generation of smart chatbots. But yet in this time frame, in 2000, you had about 4 or 5 million contact center agents, and now we have 17. So in a sector that has seen the most amount of technology intervention, you've seen a huge growth in the labor force, because global economies have grown, because more people have phones, because people are consuming more things. So I remain quite optimistic about the overall potential from a professional services perspective for employment growth. As far as the second issue of how much you should work, right? My own sense is twofold, right? One is you have to work as much as is needed, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't always have your pedal on the metal.
Yeah.
I also almost uniquely feel that for senior people, right? For people like me, unfortunately our weekends are not sacrosanct, right? Sometimes you end up traveling on a weekend, sometimes you end up taking a call on the weekend. But as far as possible, we have to model those behaviors so that we're making time for our families, we're making time for our own interest, because the tone from the top is quite important here.
No, absolutely. The tone from the top makes a world of a difference, and the hours you put in have to be seen in context of what the job entails as well.
Exactly, and I've got a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old, right? So don't want to be missing out on their lives almost completely.
And you shouldn't have to do that. Mohit, before I let you go, a final headline for 2025 as far as Tech Mahindra is concerned?
I think for Tech Mahindra, the headline is always the same, onwards and upwards.
Onwards and upwards. We wish you the very best of luck. Thanks very much for joining us here in Davos on CNBC-TV18, and we look forward to hearing much more from you. That's Tech Mahindra's Mohit Joshi. The turnaround plan that he had articulated here on CNBC-TV18 exactly a year ago, currently underway. It continues to be work in progress. Things have made a turn, and the acceleration process is now underway. 2026 likely to be an explosive year, in his words, for the IT industry. We are going to take a break with the conversations continue. Don't go anywhere. We're back in a moment with more.